Inside the game, inside the game of home, sweet home. No more to cry, no more to die. A crown of life you've won. You're safe at last, your sorrows past. A mansion here forevermore. Yes, all of this I'll hear him say when I step inside the game.
He's inside the game.
Just inside the game.
Inside the game.
We went to a concert to see the Blackwood Brothers and the Statesmen. And then I really got it, seeing those guys up there, and those great suits and those great haircuts and those pencil-thin mustaches. And that was amazing to me. It was like seeing, those were stars to me.
A mansion here forevermore. Yes, all of this I hear him say when I step inside the game.
I'd like to point out that that low voice there belongs to J.D. Sumner, America's lowest bass singer. And now let's pause for a moment while a friend of yours brings you a very important message.
It was J.D.'s idea to get a bus, and he took a lot of ribbing about that. I remember somebody in the group said, well, we could get a train car, you know, and go up and down in the country in a train car. Somebody said, well, we could get a boat and go up and down the rivers, you know, in a boat.
Back in the early days, when you get through, there's 2 in the front and 3 in the back, a 5-man quartet. Well, every 2 hours you switched, you know. But the one in the middle and the back, when you went to sleep, your legs would fall over on the other guys with you. So you took your belt off, strapped it around your knees and buckled it, and folded your arms and went to sleep like that. So when you relaxed, when you went to sleep, your legs wouldn't fall over on the other guys, you know. So those were rough days traveling.
That was the best idea he ever had. Because it's, you know, it's nice to get in that bunk and go to sleep and pull that curtain around you and read a book. And then be like this for 500 miles, guy on Penrod on one side and Bill Gaither on the other. That's between ugly and ugly.
I kept bugging James. And James finally said, well, if you think you can do it, do it. And so I bought a 37 Aero coach and customized it.
At first, we put in 5 big recliner chairs in the bus, and we'd sit in those in the daytime and lean them back and sleep in them at night. And then we put in some bunk beds, and at first we put in inner-spring mattresses. But that didn't work because it bounced too bad going up and down the highway. So we took those out and put in about 6-inch foam rubber mattresses. That worked.
When I was in the Army, I used to take patients home and always had a Pullman. I had me a private compartment in the Pullman. And so I said, man, wouldn't that be something to have the same thing in a bus?
When J.D. got the bus, I said, it isn't practical. It won't work. And coming in from, left Little Rock one Sunday afternoon going into Fort Worth, and he said, why don't you get on the bus? I want to talk to you about some things. But when I got on the bus, he had my bed ready and all that sort of stuff. I went back there and went to sleep, and I woke up in Fort Worth. So we, George and I, got Hovey down there at the record shop, at the coffee shop, and told him that we thought we needed both of us to get a bus. And so Hovey agreed, and we went to Dallas and bought 2 buses. And just alike, you know, we had those twin buses.
The bus is the greatest. I think it's the greatest thing I've done. I'm proud of that anything.
Traveling by bus was not J.D.'s only innovation to help propel the gospel music industry forward. It was also J.D.'s idea to begin an annual convention of quartets.
We were talking one day, and J.D. said it would be nice. Sometimes we'd have concerts around the country where we'd have 2 or 3 maybe quartets together. But he said it'd be nice if we had a time and a place every year where all the groups came together for perhaps a weekend or a Friday and Saturday.
And I always tried to get the Sunshine Boys to do it, and I was with them, and they wouldn't do it. And And I came with the Blackwood brothers with James. Finally got sold on the idea, so we couldn't call it the camp meeting of gospel music, so we just called it the National Quartet Convention.
And at the same time, we organized the Gospel Music Association, GMA, and the Gospel Music Hall of Fame. We had our attorneys secure the charter for all three of these organizations, the National Quartet Convention, Gospel Music Association, and the Gospel Music Hall of Fame. And the first quartet convention was in 1957 in Memphis, Tennessee.
Although J.D. would be the innovator of these great institutions, he was most proud of the friendships he cherished.
I think the friendship between Daddy and Jake Hess was cultivated by two kids, you know, just having this burning desire to do nothing but sing. I mean, they were in the very, you know, together in the very first quartet that I think each one of them basically sang in. Jake is my godfather. They've always been friends. They've been, you know, for each other and a part of each other's lives since I have a memory.
I don't know any two guys that had a desire to sing in a male quartet more than George and I did. Of course, those of you that know me know that I called him George. And here's how he got that name. We had been somewhere to sing one morning, and we stopped at this restaurant to have breakfast. And there was an extra chair there. And so the waitress said, well, what does he want? I said, oh, and J.D. said, who? She said, who's? And I said, oh, he's gone to the bathroom somewhere. He'll be back. I said, just bring him scrambled eggs. And J.D. said, no, he doesn't have scrambled eggs. He wants his eggs over medium. I said, no, he wants scrambled eggs. And J.D. said, over medium. So we ordered one egg scrambled and one over medium. And then she said, well, what meat would he like? I said, bacon crisp. She said, no, sausage. And we kicked that thing round and round. And finally we ended up, he got one egg scrambled and one egg over medium, and he got ham. And the manager of the quartet got mad and walked out on us. And anyway, we referred to the guy, the invisible man there, as George. It's only fitting that we should keep that going, so that's where I started calling J.D. George. And I called him that for 52 years.
But I just want you to know just how close George and I really are. You see, George smokes, I get cancer. I'm telling you the truth. Last year, I was nominated for the Gospel Music Hall of Fame. George was inducted. We were up in Ohio. James told you part of this story. I wasn't feeling too well that morning, so I took a laxative. Didn't affect me, did George. We still close, George?
The first time I met J.D., I think it was something, I'm not real good at dates, places, but I think it was Greenwood, South Carolina. The Blue Ridge and the Blackwoods were working together. And back in those days, we went on first, and sometimes Elmo and the guys would sing a few songs. Then all of a sudden, Elmo would pick somebody out of the group to do a couple of solos while they went in the back and just hung out a while, you know. So that night they asked me to do a couple of solos. Me and Kenny Gates, the piano player, stayed out there. Well, I sang a solo, and then I told Kenny, I said, I was going to do something silly. I said, give me a key. Kenny said, what key? I said, it don't make no difference. He said, yeah, it does. It may be in the wrong key. I said, no, just give me a roll of piano. And I did the laughing song for the first time that night. And a little bit later, when we walked off stage, when we were through with our stand, I passed J.D. J.D. shook my hand, and he said, anybody that can be that big an idiot, I want to be their friend. So we were friends for 42 years, J.D. and I.
In 1963, the Blackwoods purchased the Stamps Quartet Music Company, and with it inherited the Stamps Quartet. The now struggling Stamps Quartet needed a boost, and J.D. had a plan.
In 1965, he came to me and he said, I think to make this work, I'm going to have to sing in the Stamps Quartet. I can travel with them. So we just swapped bass singers. Big John Hall came to us, and he went with the Stamps Quartet.
Rolling along, singing a song, I have him by my side. Nothing to fear, he is near. With my Lord I roll along, looking ahead, nothing to dread, no trouble come my way. I hold his hand, he understands, he's with me all the way. Rolling along, with my Lord by my side. I don't worry about the storm, he will be my guide. Rolling along, in my heart there's a song. All my sins he took away, so now I roll along.
Working for J.D. had a talent agency called Sumner Talent Agency. I'd had a group since 1959, decided to get off the road, and so I went to work at his talent agency. And I got a call one day, and he said, we're losing our baritone singer, and I need you to fill in until I can audition somebody. And so I filled in ever since. When I joined the group, it was J.D. and Ed Enoch, Bill Bays, and then myself, and Ronnie Mae played the piano.
Seems that now they don't worry about telling that old story of salvation and a dedicated life. In the good old days when they preached amazing grace, in the good old days at that old country church, we would gather around at that old camp meeting ground, and the saints of God would shout and sing and pray.
I can still hear them singing of those hymns, and they're ringing in my heart as they did way back then. Saints of God would start crying, singing, marching up to Zion, and they'd sing until they said the last amen.
I can still see the tear stained at the foot of the altar made by sinners who were running out of time. Then the glory started rolling, and the bells from heaven told it when the biggest tear-stained maid was mine.
In the good old days when they preached amazing grace, in the good old days at that old country church, we would gather around at that old camp meeting ground, and the saints of God would shout and sing and pray.
In the good old days when they preached amazing grace, in the good old days at that old country church, we would gather around at that old camp meeting ground, and the
saints of God would shout and sing and pray. In the good old days when they preached amazing grace. In the good old days at that old country church, we would gather around at that old camping ground, and the saints of God would shout and sing and pray. And the saints of God would shout and sing and pray.
Thanks so much for watching this clip from New Haven Collections. For full episodes of some fantastic shows, go to www.countryroadtv.com. And if you'll use the code New Haven, you'll get a month free. Don't forget you can see some great performances at 615 Hideaway. Click in the box above to go to their channel. Again, thanks so much for watching.